Ooh, we're bouncy today. Hi, I'm Lisa, and this is Three of Skeins, Knit and Crochet Podcast, number 96. Number 96.
I'm Cryss.
How you doing today, Cryss?
Meh. I feel like must be what it's like living in England, because it's been a while since we've seen the sun.
Yeah, it's dreary.
And wow, it's a little depressing. The actual, the news, the weather forecast actually said the words damp and dreary. I was like, even if that's true, that's not how I want you to describe the weather to me. I don't want you to make the world sound like someone's basement.
Sell it to me a little bit, you know.
But today is in fact damp and dreary.
Hopefully you have sunshine where you're at. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm in recovery. So if you hear my voice sounds a little bleh, that's what's going on. So Cryss, do you want to start today? Go for it.
So I'm working on a skirt. What I'm calling my step hem skirt. It seems like a good term. It's gonna have two different lengths. Basically, the sides are gonna be longer than the front and the back. And down the sides are going to be granny squares. I have finished all of my squares.
Oh, I did not know.
Yes.
Nice.
You saw my post.
I didn't realize they were all finished. I thought you had only done like some of them.
No, this is 10 squares.
You go, girl.
That is. So it's not like your traditional granny square, because I told y'all I'm about sick of those. But I have this book. I think it's just called the Granny Square book.
Yeah.
And it has 100 different versions of granny squares. And a lot of them are really cute. I feel like I'm about to dive back into this book sooner rather than later. But I have my 10 squares, so they're going to be just in a row going down the side of the skirt. But I have to decide how I'm going to sew them together, because I could do just like an invisible mattress stitch, so they'd be directly adjacent. Or I could do single crochet along the front so that you get like a ridge between adjacent squares. Or I could actually do a few rows of single crochet between the squares and then also down the side, so it'd be almost like an inset tile kind of effect. So I haven't thought that far ahead yet. So I'm back at the drawing board a little bit, figuring out what exactly I want to happen down the side of the skirt. But that's where I am. And this yarn is Angora lace from Wisdom Yarns, and it is sadly discontinued. But if you can find any in like a D-stash or something, I'd snap it up, because it feels amazing. It's a lovely yarn. It's merino and nylon and 20% Angora.
That's what gives it that little tiny bit of halo. It's really nice.
I don't know if you can. Oh, you can see a little bit. It's kind of fuzzy. There you
go.
But yeah, so my current whip is underway. And I got the hard part done first, because I hate motifs. And I mentioned on Instagram that each square took about 30 minutes. So the 10 of them, that was 5 hours. And I'm nowhere near having a skirt. I have squares.
You do have squares.
So this is why I don't do motifs. Because you work and work and work and work, and then you still have nothing. Because you don't have a thing until you have assembled it. So
I got a question. Are you going to block those before you
yes, I am going to block them, because you can see it's kind of like wrinkly crinkly. And I don't want that. I want to have nice straight edges. They are about 5 1/4 inches, and I think I'm not going to try to like enlarge them by blocking them, so I'm just going to block them to this size, but just, you know, tidy it up a bit. But yeah, that's where I am. We've all been suffering from allergies, so my nose is itching.
And I'm hoarse, so here we go. So what I've got today is more skirt. More skirt. I'm really stoked. I really like green, don't I? But you see the themes as you make things.
I feel like you got a whole outfit going.
I almost do. So I am working on the bottom hem, well, the flounce of my skirt now. So I think if I hold it up this way, you can see how far I've got. I've got about 5 inches of flounce, and it's going to end up being 9 inches wide. So it's just going to be very flippy and floppy when I walk. It should.
So do you increase really every row?
Every other row. So I'm doing an increase row and then a plain row. And once I get it to where there's 45 stitches in each section, I will then start the garter stitch hem. And I'm about like maybe 32 stitches now in each section. I was going to knit a little bit more today, but to be perfectly honest, I used up my last ball of this yarn that I had already wound.
Oh, yeah.
So I am stuck now.
That'll put the brakes on.
I wind some more. I still have plenty more skeins of this upstairs, but I didn't feel like going upstairs and winding yarn, so I kind of had to pump the brakes on this. But this thing has been amazing. This is a new toy I got at New Jersey Sheep and Wool. It's from Ashland Yarns, and it has made working with these balls so nice.
It looked like it did, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of maybe want one now.
I can't recommend it any more highly. It does come like in pieces, but as you can see, it was easy to assemble. There was nothing to it, and particularly with the cottons and linens I've been working with, where I'm working from the outside anyway, this just made it super easy, super fun. Best thing I purchased at the fair this year. This yarn is Lino from Trendsetter, and I think it's called Lino hand dyed. I think that's
something like that.
Yeah, but that's just like the name. It's not technically a hand dyed yarn, but I'm loving the feel of this.
We know
so
that.
much.
Don't think you fool anyone when you just name your yarn
hand dyed.
Hand dyed, just.
But I love the color. I love that wavy, watery pattern that it has going on in. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I think I'm going to have enough of this yarn left to do a tank top that matches this. Cool. So it'll end up kind of wearing like a dress.
Yeah, I've been wanting to make a little mat set myself, so I feel you.
So I'm like super excited. I probably won't get to that till spring, but I'm already kind of looking ahead at my first fall projects. Yes, that's how I feel. Magic is happening. But otherwise, it's going pretty well. This was very, very straightforward knitting. Occasionally, I would drop a stitch, but as you guys saw last week, I just hooked it back up when I dropped one.
I get anxious when she drops a stitch. I could never knit. I can't. I just can't do it.
I'm so sad, okay? You should have seen her first knitting. My first knitting looked like trash. Hers, she had even stitches and everything. If I hadn't gotten excited and introduced purling that same day, I think she'd be knitting a little bit now.
Purling is really where
Purling.
I parted ways.
Purling, where she drew the line. It was like, no mas. But that's what's going on with my skirt. I'm hoping that it's going to be done really in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think you will be done. You are just like, got it. I'm so excited. Me
too. I can't wait to wear it. And it's just still just warm enough. Like, this is cotton that I'm wearing now. I thought about bringing out my red sweater today, but it's really not that cold.
We're actually getting transitional weather, and I didn't think that was a thing anymore. Yeah. I thought it was just hot and cold. But no, it seems like we're getting an actual little autumn happening, and I'm very happy about it.
At one point this summer, didn't you feel like the heat was just never going to dissipate? That's how I was starting to feel.
Not only did it feel like it was never going to go away, I entered this weird delusional space where it felt like it had always been hot, like I'd never known cooler temperatures.
A cool breeze had never blown.
Right.
That's
it
how
was
it felt.
Just like, this is just the world. Yeah, it got a little bad.
I think the weather broke just in time to save many people's sanity.
Mine for sure.
Yes. We What else we got going on, Cryss?
Okay, this is just an experiment. Let me explain. Let me set this up a little bit.
Yeah, set the stage.
So shrugs, super easy to make. You make a square, rectangle, you fold it, badoop, badoop, you got a shrug. I don't know about y'all, but the issue I've always had with shrugs is sizing them appropriately, because if you don't, it's always falling off your shoulders. And that drives me nuts. And I was like, there's gotta be a way to, determine the measurements before you make the shrug. So here's what happened. So when I first learned how to make shrugs, I didn't do it the way most people do them now. I would just fold it in half, make the rectangle, fold it in half, and then stitch here, and then the center just kind of falls open, and that's how you wear it. But what people are doing now is folding just the 4 corners in, right? So, because I never really made a shrug like this, I was really unfamiliar with sizing one. So this is just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, right? And when I folded the corners in, what I ascertained is that this space here, which corresponds to the part that will go around your neck, is just the difference between the width and the length.
Oh.
So when I fold it, this space is 2.5 inches, which is the difference between 11 and 8.5. Now, maybe you all knew this. I didn't. But what that means is I can now exactly determine what I want my neck opening to be. Because all I have to do, if I want a 5-inch neck opening, make sure that the difference between the width and the length is 5 inches. And boom. So now I can make sure my shrugs will always fit by deciding ahead of time how much space is going to be right here.
Oh, wow.
So I made a quick and dirty shrug. This thing, it's kind of hideous, but I just wanted to use a chunky yarn so I could do it quickly. And we didn't have enough chunky yarn in any one color. So it's a bit of a chaos monkey, I have to tell you. But, but I made it 35 inches wide, because I asked Lisa to measure me from elbow to elbow instead of wrist to wrist, and it was around 35 inches. I made it 35 inches wide and made it 26 inches long. So the difference between the width and length was 9 inches, which I measured was pretty much from like collarbone to collarbone. And that is exactly where it hits me.
Wow.
And
okay,
it doesn't fall off. It doesn't slip off my shoulders. And so this is probably the widest I would make one. And now I know if I make it more than 9 inches, I'm gonna have some slippage, right? But if you do a square, what's gonna happen is width and length are the same. So the difference between them is 0. So it's just gonna come, the triangles are going to meet exactly in the center. And that is something you might wanna do if you want it to overlap a little bit in the front. And if you want, so I'm thinking to do one that I'm just gonna put like maybe 3 decorative buttons right in the middle. So now I know I can make that gap I know how to make that gap very, very narrow so that my shrug will overlap in the front if I wanted to. Or if you want to put like a shawl pin to hold it closed, you want those 2 sides to be closer together. Now I know how to do that. Now I know how to make my neck opening exactly what I want it to be, because I know it's just the difference between the width and the length. And like I said, maybe I'm tardy for the party. Maybe everyone knew this but me, but I didn't. I just figured it out because, like I said, this fold was not how I typically did my shrugs. And so just playing with this piece of paper that had, exactly known dimensions helped me figure out how to determine the neck opening that I want. So my shrug won't slip. And I am well and truly pleased.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I'd have never guessed. I had no idea.
Because when you find a pattern, they just tell you dimensions. And you really never have to think about it. And, I've seen, YouTube videos where someone just makes their own shrug, and sometimes it slips off, sometimes it don't. I think a lot of people don't really realize how to very precisely determine exactly what you want that opening to be. And it turns out it's like silly simple. So I thought I'd just put that out there. So if you just want to make a quick little shrug, now you know exactly how to make sure that it fits you the way you like.
So what you want to do is crochet or knit a rectangle rather than a square.
You can do a square if you want. Just with the square, you're going to get overlap in the front.
There you go.
So.
Wow. Okay. I'm polaxed. Well.
I was just playing around because I was like, dang, man, but it can't be that hard. So. I plan to make a shredder now that I have this figured out.
Oh.
So I'm just cogitating.
Just noodling. Are you going to keep the chaos monkey?
Probably not. She's probably going to get ripped out. I you know, it was a little late at night.
But what time was it, Cryss?
And I was like, wait a minute. We had chunky yarn and yeah. And not a lot of thought went into it. But more thought will go into the next one.
Well, I have a finished object. 2 actually.
Now it's 2.
Now it's 2. I finished my Halloween socks. And I went with my skeletons clocks. I'm so pleased with these guys. I don't even know what to do. I will put in a picture of it on my foot. They look so cute on. But I can't recommend this method more. I had a very specific method that I've been using, the Size by Socks, for years and years now. And I still got, trying this method, I still got socks that fit. She has charts in here where you can make socks. I didn't use my foot model.
No, I had no idea.
Nope.
Wow.
And I knit from the top down. That was the most awkward thing for me. Don't ask me why. I really just understood socks from the toe up, and top down always seemed, I don't know, less understandable to me.
I do know that knitters tend to be devoted to either top down or toe up. It's a bit of a divide in the knitting community.
But it wasn't bad. And one nice thing about top down socks is that since I start with a stretchy cast on, I get a nice stretchy cuff. And you know, sometimes toe up sock knitters will do a cuff that doesn't stretch. What I did with the second cuff that I had to knit, you know, after the fact, was I did what's called a lace bind off, and that also gives me a really nice stretchy cuff. But I haven't washed these yet, so I don't know if this ruffling is going to stay, but this one ruffles a little bit. But it looks perfectly normal when it's actually on. It doesn't have this ruffle, so this is just an aesthetic thing. And I did the skeleton on the side by using the duplicate stitch. So,
how many skeletons did you do?
I did 2.
How many skeletons were you going to do?
I was going to do 4, like one on either side, but it took a minute to do the embroidery. And I'm knitting these socks at 9 stitches to the inch. So my stitches are super small. And on one sock, I started on a deep purple. So seeing the stitches, I was sitting over here. I probably hadn't spoken for like an hour or 3 because I was trying to establish this first row of stitches because that was going to determine how all the rest of my stitches lined up. So it's dark purple. I'm working with tiny, tiny stitches. So I put on my reading glasses and I'm like this. So I did those stitches and took them out until I was satisfied with how they were laid. I Bob Cratcheted. But once that first row is established, now everything else is relative across the row. So the rest of the stitches were fairly easy to line up. But they look so cute on. And this screams Halloween to me.
It does. That's a legit Halloween sock.
So now I have to figure out a really cute outfit that I can wear with these socks.
Do you have any what do you call it? Like capri pants so that people can like see the socks?
Yeah, I was thinking capri pants or a skirt or a dress or something. Do you remember one Halloween I dressed up as Professor McGonagall?
I don't.
I did. I have a black dress and a long green cardigan and my cute little witch hat. But I think these would be so cute with some heels. Anyway, I'm already thinking what I will wear them with so that I can show off my little skeletons and my stripes. So this yarn is some old Patton's Croy from my stash. And the green up here is White Pigments. It was a unicorn tail. Now I had planned on doing my heels in the green from the unicorn tail, but I didn't think I had enough to do both heels. So what I did was I incorporated a stripe of the green as a start of the heel, and then I just did a bullseye heel. So it ends up in this cute little targety looking thing on the bottom of the heel in my stripy yarn. So I've got cuffs and toes in this green. It's called It's People.
I love that.
I know, I was like, yes.
I really love that movie.
And then I did bullseye heels that are slightly different. And what I do like about these socks was doing it as a one long tube, I was able to just knit until my first ball of yarn was completely finished. And then I started the second ball of yarn right where it started. So my socks, you can't really tell at first glance, but they're not exactly the same. I love that. Well, I know you can tell.
I can tell.
I know you can tell, my dear, I know. But I like that they are similar but different.
Self-striping yarn would drive me mad if I was making socks. Oh my God.
Well, if you wanted to, you could, unravel until you found the next repeat.
Which is why it would drive me mad, because I'd have to do that every time.
But I was like, when I got down to the last Larry's of this ball, I was like, I don't want to waste that.
Mm-hmm.
I just knit to the bitter end. And so now I have a few grams of this yarn left. I suspect that what I'll do with it is if I need to ever darn these socks, I will have a little bit of the actual yarn left. But knowing me, I'll just darn it in an opposing color just for fun. But anyway, my Halloween socks all ready to go. And it's not even quite October yet. Go me. And I learned this method from Knit 2 Socks in 1 by Safiyyah Talley. I will be doing this again because I really enjoyed it.
You got something else?
Oh, I don't, no, I don't.
The uncertainty. You have a book in your hand right now, so.
This is my, my Vogue Knitting colorwork paper. I just pulled it out because I found the chart for my little skeleton on Pinterest and it was impossible for me to work from that picture. So I just copied it onto my colorwork paper. That made it so much easier.
Uh-huh.
So I just numbered it. And I say get you some of this if you can.
Was that just from Amazon?
Yeah, I just got it from Amazon and it was on sale at the time. Oh, one last thing. I just used some Rabiea Classic for the skeleton.
Okay.
Just use a little bit of that. But that's what's going on with my projects right now. I'm actually looking forward to my first fall project. Is yours going to be the shrug, Cryss?
I think my skirt's going to be wool, so I would say that's my first fall project. But the shrugs are coming. I just wanted to mention Inktober.
Oh, yes.
So there's this thing, I've heard about it like over the last few years. It's in an art challenge called Inktober, where there's just a prompt for each day of the month, and you're meant to do a drawing. It's for artists, but I got it into my head that maybe I might play along with the Inktober thing and try sketching a garment each day based on the prompt, or at least some of the days. I'm not like fully committed to 31 days just yet, but that I might try to create some, because I'm trying to like improve my sketching. So I might try to just design a garment, something simple for each one of the prompts. Because sometimes I think having a prompt is just a easier place to start than trying to just like pluck something out of your head. So if that's something that any of you might be interested in doing, it's really simple. There aren't really that many rules. In theory, you're meant to post what it is you draw, but I mean, like, no one's going to make you. So you can or you can't. So they also have versions where either you do a drawing every day, you do, or you can do one a week, I think.
Yeah.
So, do as many or as few as you like. I would say set a goal of trying to do one. Pick one prompt, and because, all 31 prompts are already out. Pick one prompt and just, let it inspire you to design a garment. So that's what I'm, toying around with, and we'll see if it actually happens.
Go for it. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what you come up with. I am.
Who said anyone's gonna see it?
I thought I'd get to peek.
We'll see.
My bad.
No promises.
No promises whatsoever.
But yeah, that's all. As usual, we forgot to say it.
Oh, damn. Hi. Please like and subscribe. It really makes our mom happy.
So I think that's a good place to end things this week.
I did want to share one last thing.
Of course you did.
I did.
We should maybe talk about these things.
I told you just before we got started. I was tootling around on YouTube this morning, and I ran into the most interesting channel. It is the Albert and Victoria Museum channel, and what they do is...
And where is that exactly? Is that in Canada?
Oh, I don't know. Some colonized place. I don't know.
Okay. You were saying?
What they do is they apparently they have a large collection of couture garments worn by celebrities of one kind or another. And the couple I actually watched was a wool suit worn by Lauren Bacall and a dress worn by Whitney Houston. And what they do is they really take you into the making of the garment. So they show you the seaming details, how it was put together, any kind of special features it had, and explain why they chose certain fabrics or how certain fabrics were advantageous for this particular garment. And I think as garment makers, this would be really interesting for things to incorporate into your own garments. One thing that really stood out for me today was when I was watching the video about the Chanel suit, there was also a blouse that went with it. And built into the blouse was a bra strap holder. So you never have your bra strap peeking out when you don't want it to. And I was like, that's brilliant.
Life is different for rich people.
It is. It absolutely is. But that's something I could incorporate into things that I make just because I've had that issue. And it's just a simple little piece of fabric. They use matching fabric and a snap and just snap it around the bra strap. And I was like, I can do that. It's a little thing that really can make a difference in how your garment wears and how your comfort level in it. So you're not always, we're always sometimes pulling at our things. But I didn't even know that was a thing. And that introduced this idea to me. So I'll be checking out the channel.
And what's the channel called?
It is the Victoria and Albert Museum channel.
Yeah, we will put a link.
Yes, we'll absolutely put a link. And apparently it's in the United Kingdom. But that's it for me.
Okay. All right, on that note. note, we will see you next week.
Have a
Stay
good
stitching. Oh.